I know this has been a celebratory season in the WNBA dump. I know it has been a record-breaking season. Caitlin Clark is a box office draw, while the rest of the WNBA, it is nothing but a polished turd.
Did you catch the WNBA playoffs? If you didn't, you're not alone. The games without Caitlin Clark saw a huge drop in viewers. We're talking arenas that couldn't even fill half their seats. That's crazy, right? Especially after the season Clark just had. Let's break down what's really going on here. Caitlin Clark's rookie season? Absolutely insane. She shattered records left and right, including the most points by a point guard in WNBA history. That's not just good, that's game-changing stuff. And the Indiana Fever? They went from who to wow faster than Clark's three-point shot.
35 at home, 15,000 on the road. Attendance for the entire league up nearly 50% this year, according to data, the Indiana Fever. All right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here when we talk about league attendance.
You know what's even crazier? The crowds she's pulling in. Fever games are now averaging nearly 16,000 fans. That's like filling up a small town for every game. But here's the kicker. Take Clark out of the equation, and suddenly it's like someone hit the mute button on the WNBA's popularity. What's up with that? Let's dive into this wild roller coaster ride and figure out what's really going on. Now imagine this. A packed arena, buzzing with energy, suddenly goes quiet. That's basically what happened to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark left the playoffs. But why? What is it about Clark that turns casual viewers into die-hard fans? The answer might surprise you. Let's talk numbers, because they're absolutely wild. The moment Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, it's like someone hit a giant mute button on the WNBA's popularity. We're talking arenas that couldn't even fill half their seats. That's a huge drop from the packed houses we saw during the regular season. Think about it. During Clark's rookie season, the WNBA was on fire. Attendance shot up by 156%. That's not just good, that's insane. Games were pulling in an average of 1.32 million viewers. To put that in perspective, it's nearly triple what they were getting last season. Clark wasn't just playing basketball, she was rewriting the WNBA's entire playbook. But here's where things get really interesting. Take Clark out of the equation, and suddenly it's like the air got sucked out of the room. No playoff games have sold out, not a single one. It's like going from a sold-out concert to an open mic night at your local coffee shop.
She is the Michael Jordan. Like, I know you're not a major basketball person,
I know.
but she is the Michael Jordan of female basketball.
How? With Caitlin Clark playing? 2.12 million on May 14th. 1.71 million on...
Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how does this affect the WNBA's bottom line? Well, hold on to your seats, because this is where it gets crazy. The WNBA has historically lost about $10 million per season. But this year, they're projected to bring in $200 million in revenue. That's a game changer, folks. But here is the kicker. All of that cold va nicht faster than a Clark three-pointer. Without her star power, the Wemba is facing a potential cliff dive in viewership and revenue. We're not just talking about a bad season here. This could shake the very foundations of the league's financial stability. It's like the WNBA struck gold with Clark, but now they're realizing just how much they depend on that gold mine. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a catchy phrase, it's become the lifeline of the league. She's brought in fans who've never watched women's basketball before, turning them into die-hard supporters overnight. Now picture this. You've got the hottest player in basketball, breaking records left and right. Fans can't get enough. So what does the WNBA do? They ignore her? It sounds crazy, but the numbers don't lie. What's really going on behind the scenes? The WNBA's marketing strategy for Caitlin Clark is leaving fans scratching their heads. You'd think they'd be plastering her face on every billboard from coast to coast, right? But nope. They're playing it cool. Too cool. So cool, in fact, that they left her out of promotional graphics featuring key players in the league. That's like having LeBron James on your team and keeping him on the bench.
Merchandise sales are up 450%. Fourth in the league in MVP voting. And we see all of these things. Certainly she's going to be a great player. I'm going to repeat that. Merchandise sales are up 450%.
But here's where it gets wild. While the WNBA's been sleeping on Clark, fans have been wide awake. Merchandise sales have skyrocketed by 756%. That's not a typo, folks. 756%. Fans are practically begging to throw money at anything with Clark's name on it.
Saying that since the start of the regular season, sales of WNBA merchandise are up over 500%. So impressive. Another thing that we've seen jump so much this season in the WNBA is merch sales. Fan gear sales over the first half of the season at the highest in league history.
It's like they've discovered a gold mine, but instead of digging, they're just standing around admiring the view.
You saw other folks trying to get at her and trying to get at her team, and you saw fans and all of this other stuff going on, which we will get into, right? Serena Williams, you were watching her.
Correct.
With Simone Biles, you were watching her. Caitlin Clark got you watching the league. She has you transfixed on the entire league. That's why I brought up Michael Jordan and Larry Bird.
Let's talk about the bigger picture for a second. Clark isn't just bringing in basketball fans. She's attracting people who've never watched a WNBA game in their lives. We're talking about a whole new audience here. People who might not know a layup from a free throw are tuning in just to see what all the fuss is about. And what are they finding? A league that seems almost embarrassed by its biggest star.
But when you with Caitlin Clark, you find yourself watching the league as well. See, when I think about Serena and Simone Biles and people like that, you watch them.
Sport, yeah.
You watch them.
You know what's really mind-boggling? The impact Clark's having on the sport as a whole. One commentator put it perfectly. The Caitlin Clark effect has been so profound that it has revitalized interest in women's basketball as a whole. We're not just talking about one player or one team. We're talking about an entire sport getting a shot of adrenaline. But here's the kicker. Another expert nailed it when they said, Caitlin Clark is clearly a catalyst for a business that was hemorrhaging money for years. Think about that for a second. The WNBA's been struggling financially for years, and along comes this rookie who's practically printing money. And their response? A collective shrug. So, what's the deal? Why is the WNBA dropping the ball on their biggest opportunity in years? It's not just about Clark. It's about all the fans she's bringing in, all the excitement she's generating, and all the potential for growth that's going untapped. Hold up, though. Is this really game over for the WNBA without Clark? Not so fast. There's a wild card the league hasn't played yet, and it could change everything. What if Clark's impact is just the beginning? The WNBA's got a chance to turn this whole situation around, and it's not just about Clark. They need to step up their game when it comes to promoting their stars. We're talking about plastering Clark's face on billboards, sure, but also shining the spotlight on other rising talents. It's like they've got a team full of secret weapons, and they're keeping them under wraps. But here's where it gets really exciting. Clark's not just changing the game on the court, she's changing how people see women's basketball. One expert said, Clark's presence is seen as a catalyst for potential long-term growth in the WNBA, with her ability to inspire a new generation of players and fans being crucial for the league's future sustainability. That's huge! We're talking about a whole new generation of fans and players who are fired up about women's basketball. And get this, Clark's style of play could shake up the whole league. Imagine teams starting to play more like Clark, shooting those deep threes and pushing the pace. It's like she's single-handedly making the game more exciting. As one commentator put it, the Caitlin Clark effect could lead to a shift in how WNBA teams approach offensive strategies, emphasizing the deep ball and creating more dynamic gameplay. That's not just good for Clark's team, it's good for the entire league. But here's the real kicker. The WNBA needs to learn from this viewership drop and use it as a wake-up call. They've got a golden opportunity to turn Clark's impact into something bigger, something that could lift the whole league. It's not just about riding the Clark wave, it's about using that momentum to make the entire WNBA more exciting, more accessible, and more popular than ever before. Think about it. What if every game was as exciting as a Clark game? What if every team had a player that fans were dying to see? That's the kind of future the WNBA could be looking at if they play their cards right. And it's not just about the players on the court. The WNBA needs to get creative with their marketing. We're talking social media campaigns, fan events, maybe even some wild promotions. Anything to get people talking about women's basketball as much as they talk about Clark. All right, let's talk about the future of the WNBA. It's hanging by a thread, and guess what? We're the ones holding it. That's right, the league's fate is in our hands. Without fans like us showing up and supporting these amazing athletes, the WNBA could be in serious trouble. Here's the deal. If we want to see more Caitlin Clarks lighting up the court, we've got to step up. Buy tickets, grab that jersey, tune into the games. Every little bit helps. It's not just about one star player. It's about building a league that's as exciting as Clark's game-winning shots. Imagine a world where women's basketball is as big as the men's game, where every team has its own superstar and every game is a must-watch event. That's the future we could have if we all get behind the WNBA. So what do you say? Are you in?